What's this? Another integrated steel sports watch? What were Christopher Ward thinking? Don't they know the market is already saturated with these type of watches? They must be confident. Whenever a new integrated steel sports watch hits the market, I feel a whole range of emotions. I'm excited, yes, but also dubious. I welcome any excuse to continue the trend born of the original Gerald Genta designs from the 70s. But at the same time, I don't want this trend to become so common it kills the hype entirely. Now, when the 12 was announced, I wasn't initially swept off my feet. This is, after all, something we watch enthusiasts see all the time. An integrated steel sports watch with a flashy dial and some polishing here and there. The question is, what have Christopher Ward done differently to other brands? Let's take a look. The 12 gets its name from the rather obvious and bold bezel design, which has 12 sides. These highly polished sides angle down towards a flat circle, which is also polished. There's something really satisfying about seeing a 12-sided shape fit neatly inside of a circle, which then fits on top of the case. This setup gives a nice layered feel, making the watch feel more sporty and refined. It also gives you another surface to look at, another piece to appreciate, if you will. I did, however, realise whilst handling this watch that it's very similar to another timepiece. And then it came to me, the Zenith Defy Skyline also has a similar design. There's no doubt Christopher Ward knew this going into the design of the 12. Did they copy this watch then? I don't think it's fair to say they did. There is obviously inspiration taken from Zenith here, and I'm not sure if you can even patent the number of sides on a bezel. Or maybe you can. If there are any experts out there on this subject, feel free to comment and let me know. The point I'm making is I think it's okay to take inspiration from another model, as long as you make the watch your own. This 40mm case is made of steel, although this watch does come in a titanium version which is slightly thinner. This model though is still relatively thin at 9.95mm. Modern techniques and machinery means brands are always pushing the boundaries on what can be achieved when it comes to finishing, and the 12 is certainly no exception. The case polishing, the angles and the refinery are all extremely impressive. As with most steel sports watches, there's a highly satisfying contrast between the polished and brushed surfaces. However, the brushed surfaces on this watch are especially gorgeous, and I haven't found myself saying that about a steel sports watch to date. Normally you focus on the polished articles, but for me, this brushed finishing is a winner. It goes without saying though, the polished surfaces are also very impressive. The 12 benefits from two slim crown guards, and the crown itself is marked with the new Christopher Ward logo. And speaking of logos, the Glacier Blue dial also holds the new, much more aesthetic logo in a brushed finish. Long gone are the days of crowded dials filled with the words Christopher Ward. The Glacier Blue dial is striking to say the least, and this goes for all dial options within the range available. The dial houses a textured twin flag design, which even under a macro level looks impressive. The various depths to this dial mean that the light has a fun time dancing around, creating gorgeous tones when movement is induced. Now, this being the 40mm version, the dial does seem rather large to look at. And that's the thing I've noticed with this particular watch. The dial really does take up a huge portion of the front-facing angle. This may be hit or miss for some people. For me, I like it. It's a statement. At the 6 o'clock position is the date function surrounded by a colour-coded border. A nice touch. It's fairly small and doesn't intrude on the showpiece, which is that stunning textured dial. When it comes to the bracelet of the 12, Christopher Ward have shown the same treatment. The brushed and polished surfaces are spectacular. The bracelet is comfortable and doesn't have any awkward stiffness that comes with some integrated bracelet designs. The bracelet comes with a quick release mechanism and a solid double deployant clasp. One small issue I had was with the quick release pins. It felt harder to get to these than the PRX, for example. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but it was definitely tricky for me, and I have small fingers. The movement inside the 12 is a Sellita SW200-1, a well-known Swiss movement. The 26 dual movement boasts a date wheel, a smooth 4 Hz frequency and a 38-hour power reserve. Some people may have wanted a longer power reserve, but it honestly doesn't bother me. This movement also has an inbuilt anti-shock system to help maintain accuracy when faced with any sudden jolts. This is everything you'd want from a movement at this price point. One thing I will add is if you go for the titanium version of this watch, you will get an upgraded Sellita movement which is actually COSC certified. That's a really nice addition from Christopher Ward. It just makes me a bit sad this version doesn't have that. When it comes to water resistance, the 12 has a respectable 100 meters, thanks to that screw down crown. An exhibition caseback is always welcomed. Although this movement isn't the prettiest in the world, Christopher Ward have done well with the decorated rotor, which includes the brand name and logo design. The 12 is available for $1,225 on the bracelet, or $995 on the rubber strap. So we're talking about under $1,000 to buy this watch. It's funny because I was so concerned with focusing on what Christopher Ward had done differently with this watch that I forgot the main point. The 12 is about improving all the various aspects of what makes an integrated steel sports watch, but with a focus on an affordable price. At just $995 for the base model, this watch is just a bit too good. I think it's a steal. I always knew Christopher Ward would show up, but they've really gone in hard on this one. So were they right to dive into the saturated market that is integrated steel sports watches? The answer is of course yes. I've said this in my previous videos, but Christopher Ward are the one to look out for. They're making really big moves, they're releasing some really interesting models, and there's lots more from this brand to come.